would you go as far to say that in any given year, the quality of this league would make it so a 5-loss team is a legitimate player in the 2014 field?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's when that's when you go back and look at just within this league, if you do not win the league, you probably have a high probability that you may have 3 losses, just because of do the math. And so when you get into your non-conference play, how strong is your non-conference schedule? Because a lot of the teams that didn't have a strong non-conference schedule actually played an NAI or a Division II team. So I think that plays out because that game doesn't count. So it's a very fine line you walk in this league, and that's why, you want to be in that position, and we were in that position. We just didn't stay there. In that second slot in this league at all times, and you're always vying being the number 1 slot. That's what you always work towards. Been there many times, but you want to make sure you're in the 1 or the 2 spot, because you hit the 3rd spot. I've said this for 15, 17 years, whatever it's been. If you don't win the league, you better do a great job in your non-conference schedule, because along the line, that means just by math, if you didn't win the league, tells me that you're probably in that 4 or 5 game bracket of losses right now. And then how do you get in the playoffs with that kind of record? So I think that's how I do the math anyway. So we just got to take care of business, keep playing, and somebody else takes care of that.
What can you tell us about Missouri State?
Like anybody, they've had some really super games. They look really dangerous, and then they've struggled in games. So I think their quarterback's very athletic. They spread it all over. They run option football, and they've been a little bit erratic too, but they're very good, and they've gotten better each year that coach has been down there. So when they're hot, and that's why you have to come out good. You have to play good early, and the longer you stay in these games with these teams, somebody finally, catches rhythm, and that's why you got to do a good job early in these football games, and then sustain what you're doing.
How are they defensively?
Defensively, I think they're much more athletic than they were in previous years. Defensive line-wise, I'm very intrigued by their defensive line play right now. Those younger players are now into their 3rd year, and I can see the size development. They were athletic when they got there, but the size has increased on them, and they've taken some transfers along the way as well, and they're starting to stand out as far as physically looking very talented.
Senior day for your seniors this Saturday. Just how about that senior group that'll play their last regular season game?
Yeah, and just like anything, senior day is a double-edged sword. It's a great what they've done for the University of Northern Iowa. They're one of us. They're part of our family here, our whole athletic family, not just football, but in particular football. So there's some dynamic personalities in there. There's some 3- and 4-year starters in that group, and then there's some guys that a Quentin Murphy is a great example that nobody knows his name, and he's helping us just as a student coach right now. That was a player that just wants to coach and get involved, and has done a great job. So whether you're the 4-year starter, like some of these guys are, you're an A.J. Allen, a Eli Dunn, a Cal Twait, and then you go all the way to a Quentin Murphy, they've all contributed somehow, some way, and UNI means a lot to them. So that's kind of the good and the bad of it. We lose those guys, but yet they mean a lot to us, and I think the university means a lot to them.
Xavier Williams was on crutches in the game. What's his status?